Yes.
Bogdanov, he did it.
He bought.
He went all in.
Dump it.
Welcome Bitcoin friends, it's Bitcoin Mamo. So we're going to look at the Bitcoin charts, do some TA, look at various time frames and also market cipher. So I want to start here with this fractal we've been comparing from 2013 bull run and our current bull run on the right. These are fib extension levels. They're drawn taking it from the previous bull market peak to the bear market low, and these fib levels are based on the log scale. Some of these levels aren't actual fib numbers, but we've just drawn them in to mark off tops and bottoms on decent pullbacks on this bull run. And this is starting from the bottom of the mid-cycle pullback on both these charts. And what we can see is we have been getting these tops pretty accurately here. This is the 1.545 level. We can see on the current bull run, we came pretty much to that level and got a decent pullback. And also the 1.687 level, we pretty much came exactly to that level and got a decent pullback as well. But what I want to point out is that there is a bit of room for error here when looking at the pullback levels. And in 2013, we pulled back to the 1.414 level. And in the current bull run on the pullback, we did actually go 5% below this level. So there is that room for error. And on the current pullback from the 1.687 level, we also went down about 4.85% below that 1.597 level that we pulled back to in the 2013 bull run. So just wanted to point that out, that although we've been accurate on the tops, there is that room for error on the pullback levels. And onto the 2-week chart now for Bitcoin. We will open a new 2-week candle at the beginning of next week. And what we can see currently is we did pull back into this VPVR support here, pretty much to the bottom of the support. And we have had this bounce so far. And we are currently above the main area of support here. The VPVR is the amount of volume traded at certain price levels, and these can act as support or resistance. We are also currently above this 2-week order block here. This is drawn from this red candle in an uptrend, similar to this red candle in the uptrend. These are supply and demand zones, and they become of interest later on. When we reach those levels, they can act as support or resistance. As we saw on this order block here, we got resistance and got pushed down. And once we did break above it, we started to move to the next 2-week order block. So what I'm looking for on the weekly close and the 2-week close is for us to close above the top of this order block. The top of the order block is pretty much at 59,000. And I think it would be more of a bullish sign if we can close above this order block and also above this area of VPVR support. And we can see with this other pullback here, after this decent run from 30k to 53k approximately, instead of using this order block as support, we did actually close inside of it. We did actually get a bigger pullback here. So I think it's possible that the bottom is in, depending on how we close the weekly and the 2-week candle here, as we are doing a slightly different thing to this pullback in relation to these order blocks. And we can also see we are above that VPVR support, whereas on this occasion, we were pretty much just below the VPVR support on this candle close. And we did have more of a pullback here. Onto the weekly time frame now, we can see that VPVR support that we wicked down into. This yellow order block is that 2-week order block. And we also have a weekly order block drawn in here from this red candle. And just to show you that a bit more closely here, this weekly order block is between 60,900 and 61,500. And it would be even better if Bitcoin can close at least inside this order block by the end of the week, and even better if we did close above it. As we can see on this candle here, we did wick all the way down to 56.4, but we did close the week inside the order block, and we did get support here, and we did move higher. We'll have to see how the week and the 2-week closes. We also have this parallel channel drawn here on the log scale, just connecting the two bottoms and the two tops. And there is always that possibility that we do pull back to this trend line and touch it again. And on next week's candle, the bottom of this trend line would be around 53,200. Looking at the stochastic RSI, we are still above this 80 level. And looking at the RSI, we have had this pullback below the 70 level. And there is also this trend line on the weekly here. So we could possibly come back to test this trend line again. Do, however, place more emphasis on trend lines on the price action rather than the RSI. And looking on the daily time frame now, we have that same parallel channel drawn on the log scale. And just looking at some fib retracement levels, you can see from this run from 30k to 53k, we did pull back to the 0.5 fib before getting that bounce. We did initially bounce off the 382 level, and we had one more drop down to that 0.5 fib area. Looking at our current pullback, doing the fib retracement from this low to the 69k high, we can see we got close to that 0.5 fib, down at 55,300, and currently we are back above the 382 fib, and we are seeing a nice bounce. We could do a similar thing here and have one more pullback back to this trend line and around this 0.5 fib area, or this could possibly be the bottom. But as I mentioned, with that VPVR support and that order block support on the 2-week, I think possibly this is the bottom here. But again, we'll have to see how the weekly and the 2-week closes. Looking at the EMA ribbon now, we can see that we did actually go below the EMA ribbon here, and currently we have gone back into the ribbon, and this daily candle hasn't closed yet, so we'll have to see how it closes. To get above this ribbon, we would need to get above 61,560. And looking at the VPVR now, from this move from 30k to 69k, we do see quite a big spike here between 60,600 and 62,300. And that also lines up with the top of the daily EMA ribbon. So we could see some resistance here, and it could lead to one more drop down, or possibly a pullback, making a higher low here for attempting to get above this ribbon and this VPVR area of resistance. So I've just marked off this area now where we have the biggest spikes on the VPVR, just with this red block here. Looking at the stochastic RSI, we did come all the way down to a 0 reading, and we are starting to move to the upside now. And looking at the RSI, we did get all the way down to a 38 level. So we did get quite low here. And just looking at the previous two lows here, the one at 30k, the one at 40k, I've just got them marked off here on the RSI. We can see both of these lows did come to the 34 level on the RSI. So we could have one more pullback, possibly to this trend line, but we don't have to do the same thing because that's happened in the past. It's just a possibility here. We do also have a trend line just connecting these two lows, and we can see we dipped below it, but now we are currently above it. Just something to look out for. And again, I do rely more on trend lines on the chart than on the RSI. That's just an observation. So now I just want to look at some order blocks on the daily time frame here. And a lot of these order blocks came from back in March and April, where we did have our previous all-time high at 65k. We can see this red candle in an uptrend, this red candle in an uptrend, and so on. And what we can see is we do have quite a lot of order blocks here where we did dip into. We have these 3 order blocks here. This yellow order block is that 2-week order block, and this red block is that VPVR resistance we talked about. And we do have a new order block from this green candle in this downtrend. So we can see we did dip into these order blocks here. We didn't close the body of the candles in this 3rd order block here. And so far we have gotten support here. And we have pushed through this thin order block here for the time being. This daily candle hasn't closed. And we can see these 3 order blocks here do pretty much lie in the range where that VPVR resistance is. So we could see some resistance around this area. We can see that this order block from this red candle in this uptrend did have a lot of relevance here to act as support on these pullbacks. And we closed all the bodies of these candles inside or above this order block, and we did get that push to the upside. So I do expect this will be an area of possible resistance since it was good support here. And we can see even on these 2 wicks here, we weren't able to get back above this order block, and we had one more decent drop down here. And looking at a fib retracement here from this peak to the low, we can see that that 0.5 fib area does line up around this order block, and the golden pocket is at the top of this VPVR resistance. Quite often, if we are going to get rejected, it will be at the 0.5 fib level or the golden pocket. Looking at the overall retracement here, we can see that 0.5 level is at the top of this VPVR resistance area here. I think it's highly probable that we do come up to these areas, possibly the 0.5 level or the golden pocket area, and see a pullback, and we could possibly make a higher low here and form a W shape before trying to break this area again and possibly breaking to the upside. Looking at the Bitcoin CME futures chart here, this is obviously closed over the weekend. We did close at 57,900, but we did actually wick up on this daily candle to 58,430 approximately. So I think Bitcoin will probably stay in this range below 58,400 until we open the new daily futures candle here and avoid making that gap. And the new week on the futures chart and new day does actually open, I believe it's 1 or 2 hours before the spot price chart. And what we've been seeing lately when the weekends come to a close is we hang around that price as to avoid a gap, and then as soon as the futures opens we see quite a decent pump before the spot price closes the day and the week. However, that doesn't have to happen all the time. We've just been seeing it a lot lately. We could possibly make a gap on the futures chart. We are currently at 59,400, $1,000 above where we wicked on the futures chart. And if we were to make a gap, perhaps we'll come up to this golden pocket area or the 0.5 fib and then get a pullback early next week to fill that gap and look for a higher low and another attempt to break these areas of resistance. And going down to the 4-hour time frame, we do have this descending broadening wedge pattern here. We have 2 touches on the top and 2 touches on the bottom. We do have another touch down here, but the 3rd touch only counts after hitting the opposite side of the pattern. So normally we do break on the 3rd touch. We also have this falling wedge pattern drawn here within this pattern, and we can see we have 2 touches on the top, 2 touches on the bottom. This touch doesn't count. We take it from the highest point as the first touch. And we can see on the 3rd touch we broke this falling wedge pattern, and we have started pushing to the upside. Looking at the EMA ribbon on the 4-hour time frame, we can see the top of this ribbon is around 60,700. And currently we are inside the ribbon and trying to break above it. Looking at the stochastic RSI, we are quite high here at a 90 reading, and the RSI is at a 51 reading. We did get quite oversold here on the 4-hour down to a 20 reading, whenever we are below this 30 level. We are looking a bit oversold and possibly looking for a bottom, normally with some divergence. We didn't have divergence between these two lows. We made lower lows on the RSI and the price, but we are seeing a move to the upside now. And we might get some possible hidden bearish divergence between this point here, and if we make a higher high on the RSI but a lower high relative to this point here, then we will have hidden bearish divergence, and we'll possibly see that one more pullback and look for that higher low. We do also have this trend line on the RSI just connecting the tops, and we can see we are currently above this trend line. The 6-hour stochastic RSI is also quite high at a 95 reading, and we see a similar trend line on the 6-hour, and we are currently above this trend line. This 6-hour candle doesn't close till the daily closes. The 12-hour stochastic RSI is just starting to move up now. It's currently at a 33 reading and does have plenty of room to move higher here. And when drawing the same trend line on the 12-hour, we can see we are below this trend line. And just putting in those daily order blocks, but on the 4-hour time frame, we can see how we've been respecting these different order blocks. We can see on this initial drop down here, we got support on this thin order block here, and we came back up and tried to test this order block, and we did get rejected and have one more move down. And we can see also here all these wicks got pushed down, and we weren't able to get back above this order block here. We did fall down. We have 3 order blocks here, and we did go all the way down to the bottom, and pretty much the wick did touch right near the bottom of this order block, and we've had this nice bounce. We initially got rejected on this thin order block. We've come back down into this top order block, and it has acted as support. Now the next order block is at 59,840 to around 60,000. Again, I think looking at the fib retracement from the high to the low, that this order block and this 0.5 level will be quite important. It did act as resistance quite a lot here, and we could possibly see that hidden bearish divergence coming up to this level, making a higher high on the RSI but a lower high on the price, and possibly see a pullback from this 61,000 area. And let's take a quick look at market cipher. This is on the 4-hour chart. We did get a green dot down here. The money flow is still pretty deep into the red. This blue wave has just crossed the 0 line, so I do think we are going to push a little bit higher here. Initially on this candle here, where we did just have this decent pump about 5 hours before the daily close, there was actually a blood diamond on this candle, similar to this one, which can indicate a decent drop coming. But actually we did pump in the last hour of this 4-hour candle and had quite a decent pump to the upside. There was actually a decent short squeeze there, and it did get rid of that blood diamond. So it wasn't confirmed, and we can see we're still having a nice move here. So it does look like this blue wave has more to go on the 4-hour chart. On the 6-hour time frame, we also had this green dot here, and we are pushing higher with this blue wave. The money flow is still in the red, so we do need to see that come back into the green still. The 12-hour also got a green dot here, and that has been confirmed, and we have seen a bounce since that green dot. The money flow did start dipping into the red though, so they can become a little bit less reliable, these green dots, and we'll have to look to the daily time frame to get a better confirmation on the bottom. And we can see on the daily, this blue wave has been coming down. We don't have that green dot yet, and does look a couple of days away here, depending on if we do move up quite quickly. And we may possibly see that on a Monday or Tuesday. That would give me a lot more confidence, because the money flow is in the green on the daily. And I think this green dot would be more reliable than the 12-hour green dot. And the weekly does still have a red dot here. It's not confirmed till the end of the week, and we'll have to see where Bitcoin closes the week as to whether this red dot gets confirmed. We also open a new 2-week candle on Monday, and the 2-week is looking still pretty good here on Market Cipher. So I think that's about all. We'll have to see how Bitcoin goes going into the end of the weekend with the close of the weekly and the 2-week candle. We have seen a nice bounce so far, so there is a good chance this was the bottom down here at 55.2 approximately. And we'll be watching these key areas here. This 0.5 fib level at 60,770, and also this golden pocket area between 62.1 and 62.4. We also have that order block, which may act as resistance, which did act as support previously, and also that VPVR resistance shown with this red block here. And remember that CME futures did close with the wick at 58.4. We either come down and open without a gap and then move higher, or we possibly make a gap by opening the futures higher and then coming back down to fill it, possibly making a higher low with support of these order blocks, and then make a push back to the upside to try to get through these resistance areas. So I think that's about all. Thanks for watching. I'm Bitcoin Mamo. See you next time. Bye.